In the previous video, I talked about a smart approach rather than New Year resolutions in order to actually achieve them. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to set goals, right? This video applies to that as well. So here we go. In this video, what I'm going to refer to is the SMART concept. You probably have heard this, but there isn't enough information how to action this out, and this is my version, right? So S stands for specific. You have to make your goal specific, right? If you really think about it, you have to be specific about what, how, who, where, and when. I'll give a simple example. Become a better student. This is a vague goal, but improve by 10 marks in each subject. That's more actionable. That's more specific. That can be measured, right? Which gets me to the next point. Measurable. It should be measurable, right? And when it comes to measuring, you can either measure the outputs or the inputs. And I suggest you measure the inputs because sometimes the outputs are delayed, right? You have to wait until the end of an exam and until the results are out to measure your outputs. But you can measure the number of hours, the number of pages, or the number of questions that you do, right? You can measure these like within one day, right? So I suggest you set goals around that rather than just the marks, right? So measure the number of pages or hours or questions that you do. So the third point is making it achievable. Achievable doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean comfortable. It just means if you try hard enough, it should be achievable, right? So when it comes to setting achievable goals, two things that matter are stretch goals and minimum goals. So stretch goals are something like you have to try a little harder to achieve that, right? Let's say you are used to studying 2 hours a day, so studying 4 hours a day is a stretch goal for you. But let's say 1 hour a day is not a lot for you, but still keeps the momentum going every day, right? Helps you be consistent and not feel guilty about not studying. That's your minimum goal. That could be like 1 hour a day. So studying 4 hours a day pushes you to grow, but let's say it's a holiday, right? Your cousins and everyone is at your place and you can't focus on studies sometimes. So, but still, if you try to get 1 hour in, it keeps your consistency going, right? So in that kind of a scenario, you still have a minimum goal to achieve, right? So it's like a range, a minimum and a stretch goal. As long as you play within that range, you will be fine. So if you can see here, I'm kind of improving one goal here, right? So we were specific about our goal, then we found out an input that we can measure, then we set an achievable goal around that input, and then we are going to think about the relevance of this goal, right? There are some goals that we set that are not really relevant to our values or our vision or our vocation. What do I mean by this? Values can be being a better person in general is a good value, right? Being courageous is a good value. And your vision is your future ideal lifestyle and what kind of a person you want to be. And your vocation is the career or your occupation, your profession, your purpose, right? If the goals that you set are not relevant to these, you're going to be demotivated in the process, right? Here's an example. Let's say I set a goal to practice guitar every day, right? But I don't have a good value to assign to that, right? I don't value it much and it doesn't resonate much with my future vision and it's obviously not related to my vocation. So it's less likely that I will achieve it unless I'm really passionate about it, right? So becoming healthy is a good value. So work out every day. That's a good goal, right? It's relevant. Becoming better at studying, right? That's a good value. That's something you aim for in order to achieve your future lifestyle. So study 1 hour a day. That's a relevant goal, right? So the relevance here is what do you value? Does it relate to your vision? And does it relate to your profession, the vocation, right? So once you know the why, this is the why behind your goal. Why do you want to achieve that goal, right? You have to ask that. If it is not strong, you are going to kind of fall out on the way. If you have a strong vision, a strong relevance, when you feel demotivated, when you feel confused, when you feel down, lost, you still are going to get back up and keep going at this goal when there is relevance. Finally, time bound. I talked about this in the previous video about not setting New Year resolutions. This relates to this as well, but mainly what I'm focusing on here is your goals should have a deadline, right? Let's say you want to get better at math. When? I want to lose 10 kilograms. When? I want to read 5 books. By when? Right? There should be a deadline. So, if you're a student, your exam day is the deadline, right? Or you can set an imaginary deadline before the exam so you are much more prepared, right? Simply, there should be a deadline. Otherwise, we are going to delay it to the next day. Your goal should have some urgency. So you need a deadline. So you will feel a positive stress towards achieving it. So to summarize it, take a piece of paper, think about what you value, think about what you want to improve in your life in the next year. But I'm mainly talking to students, so what do you want to improve as a student? So be specific about it, and then find out the inputs that will get you that result and measure those and set goals around those inputs and question the relevance, and then finally set a deadline on that goal. Then you have a much more stronger goal which is relevant to you, that you will be motivated to achieve, right? So take action every day. Happy New Year. Good luck. So if you gain some value, or if you're looking for practical study advices, and if you need something beyond just basic study tips and tricks, you're welcome to the club. Subscribe.